Welcome to the Inspire to Invest podcast, where we're sharing inspiring stories from business owners, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors on the pursuit of wealth and financial freedom. This episode of the Inspire to Invest podcast has been brought to you by the GeoFocus Group. Hey everybody, welcome to Inspire to Invest. I have Brandon Schwab here with me today from Bull Valley, Illinois. He focuses on boutique-style senior living communities. Shepherd Premier Senior Living provides an alternative to traditional institutional-style senior care by offering small, intimate residential homes that feel like family environments. As they continue to expand, their goal is to grow their footprint while keeping the core of their model, the boutique resident-first style experience at the heart of every project. So I think that's pretty amazing. And one thing I learned here in Canada, I don't know if that's like this in the States, but senior living communities are actually one of the only things that are not rent controlled, which I found really, really crazy since they are such a vulnerable part of the population. So I love what you're doing. It sounds like it's something that's definitely needed.
I got into this field first. I did not quite think that I would ever end up in it. We went through it on our own. Our own family member went to a traditional facility with 200 people, and we had a terrible experience. That experience, so it led me to believe that I never wanted to be in that like whole industry because it just offered terrible care. About 5 years later, I was able to get exposed to a home that cared for 5 people, and I said, this is different, right? So I only got interested in doing what we're doing because I was able to see the part that is ugly first, and then I got exposed to how it was done, where they focus on the folks that are in there first, and it's distinctly different. And
Now,
that's
what would the
the part
cost
that
look
killed
like?
me.
'Cause I understand, like, usually they're just trying to get the numbers in, right? And it is
Sure.
actually crazy when you look at the cost. Like, I would say where I am, a cheap senior living home is about $2,500 a month. And it's for just a room. Like, it feels like probably even smaller than a dorm room. But it can go upwards of $10,000 a month. So, what does that look like
Sure.
when you compare that with your model? And would that jack the price up significantly because it's only 5 people or 10 people? So what do those models look like for you?
We actually got into the industry almost on like accident, actually. Our family member had to go to a traditional facility and he had terrible care there. So all of us were able to use that experience as what we didn't want to have done. That was a home with over 200 plus people. Care was terrible. The overall odor was terrible. It was terrible. And then 5 years later, I got exposed to a home that cared for 5 to 10 people, and I found quite the opposite. And once I knew that that was there, so I was interested. And when I came back home, I introduced a model that had 10 to 20 people per home, and that was our niche, where it was so large enough to earn what we needed to earn to do the overhead, but it also wasn't that big that we lost the home feel.
Yeah, no, I love that. Now, did you have a background in real estate, like prior to
I
this
did.
experience? Okay, so can you take us back to that beginning, like where your career started in real estate and real estate investing? And I mean, it's such an interesting segue, so I just want to dig a little bit
Yeah.
deeper into that.
Yeah, I actually got into investing in real estate. I began wholesaling in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
I was doing that for the first 2 years and I thought I was crushing it. But then I realized I was working 50, 80 hours per week and I had no income coming in. So
Yeah.
after the first 2 years, I kind of pivoted to less wholesaling. And then I began being able to put together a portfolio of our own homes because I wanted passive income. So I had learned quickly that you could have the active income, but if you don't have passive income, you don't have time to go do what you would want to do. So I figured out quickly that I needed passive income. And over the next 2 years, we had built a portfolio of 23 homes, tenants in all of them. And that's how I was able to get into it.
Yeah. And would those all be in the area where you live? Because I know in the States, maybe more so even than Canada, like people tend to do things more all over. So I'm just curious to see like where that portfolio is and like what the price point even is on buying a single family home.
Yeah, so all those homes were within an hour of our house. We're buying houses from 150 to 250,000. We had tenants in there paying 1,500 to 1,800 per month, maybe highest at 2,000.
Yeah.
On the flip side, what we did here is we're buying houses that are 250 to 500,000, put in a few $100,000 into them, but we had each room paying 5 to 8,000 each month. So when you have 10 people paying 5,000 per month,
Yeah, it's
and
huge.
you have income of over 50,000, this concept was very more, it generated some more income than what I was doing prior. And I found the first home that I was exposed to in 2014 down in Florida, that one home with 5 people in it outperformed all 23 of our homes 2 times each month. And I said, I need to get into that business, right?
Yeah. I think a lot more people might want to get into that business after hearing about this. Now, in terms of regulations and things like that, can you talk about that process? Because it's not like you can necessarily just like open this up, right? I'm sure that there's going to be some things when you look at the governments and health and things like that. So can you shed light on how you learned the ropes in that area?
Yeah, so I could talk a, about all that in our area. What you have to do is you typically have to purchase a home. You have to go and get a conditional use permit, and then you would actually take that permit and then go through, and then you would open up the home and then you would fill it. So every part of the country kind of does it a little bit different. So don't quite quote me on that, but it took us about 3 months to get the upfront permit. It took about 6 months to do what we had to do to the homes, because all of us were purchasing homes that were 5 to 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
Because our niche is we wanted to have 10 to about 20 people per home in it,
Yeah.
not 5, right? So we were trying to find a property that was a little different, and then we would operate it afterwards, right? And it would
Yeah.
take me about just 6 months to fill it.
Yeah.
So it takes you a year to 2 years to really get things humming. And that's really what we kind of found is the typical time frame.
Now, in terms of how you're using the equity to get things started, are you raising money from private investors or what's your structure like in terms of getting things off the ground?
Yeah, so we created a fund to actually do that. So we are bringing in capital from investors to actually help us open up homes.
Yeah.
When we got into the industry in 2014, we did what we could based on what I had access to, and then we kind of capped out, right? And that was really good because we proved out our niche. So all of us proved out what we were trying to get done.
Yeah.
And then we had realized that we needed to create a fund to bring in investors to help us keep on going, right?
Yeah.
Which is good. I feel we're on version 10.0 because over the first 10 years we failed more than a few times, right? But that's part of what we had to go through. And so now today we really found a niche in the industry that we feel that we've got an opportunity to really change the industry, and we are opening up to investors to be part of what we were able to do.
Yeah.
So not very often do you have an opportunity to invest in this asset class that's going to have a home and also healthcare. When you put those two together, and if you look at the aging of our country, I was able to read an article just this past week that was able to say that our country is in need of 775,000 new units by 2030 just to keep up.
Yeah.
So there is a crisis coming, and we're trying to get in front of that so as often as we can.
Yeah.
And what we're finding is we found a niche of people that are currently doing it today that are trying to exit because they're older, they're overweight, or they have type 2, like things happen in their lives. And we're basically doing a roll up of these properties quietly, and we're building a portfolio in our area first, but then we're going to expand out, right? So during COVID, we went too big, too fast, too far out. So we are going to be, all of our homes today are within 2 hours, and we are going to go out to 8 hours, right? So any one of our homes, we are able to touch it within 8 hours or a 1 to 2 hour flight.
Now, do you think that this is a model that you might consider franchising just with all the lessons that you've had? And then, you don't necessarily have to be as involved in overseeing things because you can kind of set up a business of other business owners.
We have definitely considered that, and we are going to do that in the future. I don't think we're going to actually do franchising. We're going to do more of a licensing model with RNs, folks that are in healthcare, and we are going to make a very affordable way for them to get in. But I don't want to do it before we have enough of a footprint to kind of prove out what we're doing. I feel like we're still have an unfinished pie today that we aren't quite there yet. Once we get to 30 homes, is kind of the checkpoint that I would begin looking at it as. Now we can have those as corporate-owned homes who have really kind of get some things proven out. And then afterwards, probably when we get to maybe 300 homes, we'd probably consider probably in 3 to 5 years.
Now, before you were talking about some of the challenges that you have experienced, can you share some of those obstacles that you faced and, some of the lessons that came out of those specific challenges?
Well, I can tell you I failed a lot. A lot of folks wait for things to be perfect, and then they never take action. Yeah. The problem with that thesis is you never do what needs to be done for you to learn. And things are never going to be perfect for you to actually go, right? And I kind of feel like this industry is kind of that too, right? There's not a lot of these in the country. There's thousands of them, but like in our area, there wasn't any. So I failed a lot. And one of the things of many, when we first opened, we had 3 people out of 10, and we were just barely covering our costs, and I needed to fill openings, right? So I spent $50,000 on advertising. I put 12 front page ads, and I spent $38,000 on Facebook pay-per-click. And then I filled the house. So I thought I did a really good job. When I did an audit afterwards, I realized that none of them came from me, not even one. What I realized is the third person that came into our home, her daughter cut hair, and her daughter does this all day long. And we literally filled 6 out of those 7 beds from her, and I paid her nothing. So I literally spent $50,000 and got nothing in return.
I guess 88,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but that's a good way. It's a good way to consider the model, though, that as you start to duplicate into all those new areas, like just hit up the barbershops.
What we found is we don't do typical ads anymore. We partner up with 5 different people, and we fill all of our houses.
Smart. Yeah.
Partnerships are critical. So we focus on those partnerships. We take folks out to eat, partner with them. We are able to help them. Yeah. And then in return, they are able to help us as well.
That's smart. Now, on that note, we're just going to take a really brief break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Whether you are launching your first development or shifting your portfolio into the missing middle, land development and construction come with challenges. The GeoFocus Group helps you navigate those challenges with clarity, structure, and confidence. With decades of experience managing complex builds, turning around stalled projects, and recovering timelines and budgets, our team is trusted by an extensive roster of developers and investors. Today, we bring that same level of precision to the growing purpose-built rental market, helping both new and experienced developers succeed in delivering needed housing. We support your project from the earliest stages of acquisition and due diligence through zoning, site plan approvals, and permit submissions. Checks. With purpose-built rentals becoming a key part of long-term housing strategy in communities of all sizes, the need for experienced project leadership is greater than ever.
I value transparency, integrity, and trust. If you choose to work with me, you can be assured that business will be conducted honestly and openly. Time is of the essence in this industry, so you can expect nothing short of quick, clear communication from me. I'll keep you informed every step of the way so you feel comfortable throughout this entire process. Our homes are where we eat, sleep, relax, and play. My clients' best interests are at the heart of everything I do. And with this said, my service to you doesn't end when the transaction does. As your realtor, I'll not only help you buy and sell your property, I'll also educate and support you along the way. I want to help you fulfill your goal of home ownership and become your trusted real estate resource for life. I can't wait to share my passion for real estate with you. More importantly, find you the perfect house to turn into your home. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in Durham Region or Toronto? Let's chat. Inspired to Invest is proud to support the Beyond Success program. In today's complex world, it's absolutely crucial for our youth to learn how to take charge of their financial future. We believe that every young person deserves access to accurate, practical financial information. Designed to bridge the gap, the Beyond Success program leverages a comprehensive educational bootcamp to equip young minds with essential financial literacy skills. At Beyond Success, it's not just about teaching financial literacy, it's also about fostering a foundation for a prosperous and empowered future. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Hey everybody, welcome back to Inspired to Invest. I've got Brandon Schwab with me today from Bull Valley, Illinois, and he's the founder of Shepherd Premier Senior Living, and he's talking about how he's kind of revolutionizing the industry when it comes to senior care. And before the break, we were talking about challenges and successes, and I really want to know what's one of the craziest things that you've experienced since you started rolling out this business.
Craziest things? Well, there has been plenty. During COVID, we had dealt with lack of caregivers. People had COVID, and we went through the trenches during COVID, getting people to come in. And so one of the things we realized is in our homes, we create a very family first culture in our homes. And we had caregivers that are incredible, that have huge hearts, that really came through for us in a moment where people were paid not to come into work.
Yeah.
And when you're caring for seniors, there's not much of an option. It's incredible how when the caregivers are given the proper option where they don't have to care for 20 to 30 people, which is typical in this industry.
Yeah.
The family culture and the heart that happens when they came together and filled gaps where when people called off, I mean, there were times we had overtime at $20,000 per month. But the point being is we got through COVID, and the team of investors, the family culture we had in the homes got us through a really tough time that like many companies that just opened didn't get through COVID. So we've gone through a lot of adversity during COVID. So another example is we were on a contract to buy 7 homes at 12.5 million, and we ran it through the SBA, and we didn't get the deal, right? And when I got our attorney bill of $125,000, I panicked, right? And there is a bunch of these opportunities that I learned, and even today, I would go through that over again because what it taught me is priceless.
Yeah.
And now today, we are building our company's future off what I had learned on. Folks would think of them as an heir. Yes, it's an $85,000 heir because I got them down from $125,000 down to $85,000. But when you write a check for $85,000, you learn what that's trying to teach you. And now today we are using that every day, and I'm so thankful for those opportunities that if people would just jump in and fail faster, I feel like they would get through what you need to get through to prove that you are going to get all of the upsides as well. I think sometimes people are too afraid to fail. And
then also I think sometimes I've seen that people just aren't resourceful enough. And within my community, for example, like this year's had a lot of challenges, and there's been a lot of companies going down and stuff like that. And I think people were too reliant on the immediate community. So, when some of these companies went down and some of the money dried up, well, there's a lot of other places you can raise money. There's a lot of private equity out there. You just have to think outside of this little box and this little community that we've been in for the last few years to try to bring in new opportunities and stuff like that. So I think it's not only, the person that works the hardest or is most persistent, but the person that's just most resourceful. So I think that's a big lesson.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think when folks own companies, I think they think they are doing everything on their own. But when they tell other people what's actually going on, they find that there are folks that are interested. And if they are going to have the opportunity to help, they would love to help. I mean, we found a lot of doctors, folks in healthcare know the challenges that we are facing, right? But they connect with it and they really have a heart for it as well. So if you just begin talking about what's going on and being a little bit open and authentic, because there will be people that will want to help you, but they'll only help you if they know that you need help.
Yeah.
Some folks are a little too prideful that, as you were able to say, they aren't creative. They aren't willing to go out there and put in the work. I mean, one of the top reasons that any company fails is they don't have enough capital to get them going, right? And there are investors out there that have capital. I mean, if you look at how much is sitting in the IRAs and the 401ks that are earning less than 3%, there's trillions of dollars, trillions.
Yeah.
Just sitting there getting chewed up by inflation, which, so I don't know what by you, how the inflation is, but down here, I mean, inflation's 8 to 10%.
Yeah.
And that's just what they tell you.
Yeah, I mean, there was someone that I interviewed earlier this week, and he also had a connection to the medical community because he installed different pacemakers and things like that for doctors.
Sure.
And so he had this great community. So when he went into real estate investing, he was able to get a lot of investment dollars from the doctors. So I'm sure likewise with you, like not only do you have these connections, but they can just see that you're trying to make the world a better place for these seniors that are in these, going from institutional living into something that's far better. So I think that that's a great way to lean on that as well. Now, in terms of things like advice, what would you say is some of the best advice you've been given throughout this journey?
I love the advice to fail faster, take action, get in there, just go do it, right? It feels easy when a person's going to tell you that, but so many people overthink everything and they never take action.
Yeah.
And a lot of people never achieve what they're trying to do so in life because they're afraid of what other people are able to think. And I think it's foolish. I really would encourage people to take action faster, because I think what's going on is so we need people to take action today. There are issues that need to be fixed. Find a issue that needs to be fixed that you have a heart for and jump in and take action and fail faster.
Yeah, no, I love that. Now, I know you talked a little bit about your growth plan, but can you elaborate a little bit more on what's next for you and how you see the company building out? I'm curious to see how involved you are in the day to day. And if you go from say 10 locations to 20 or 100, how do you see that model coming together so you're not going back to working 100 hours a week?
Yes, 100%. So I don't have a healthcare history, which is great because I cannot help in the houses every day. So I have the opportunity where I work on the company compared to in it every day, which is critical. I'm in the office here. I focus on purchasing properties. We developed a niche through a ton of error and failure, right? Where now we know how to roll up properties way faster than I ever did before. I was telling you before, when we were purchasing homes and converting, it would take me up to 2 years to get them earning money.
Yeah.
Now that's cool if you would like to do, say, checks for 2 years. But what I found is I discovered a niche industry where I can buy these things and they cash flow from day one.
Yeah.
And people are happy for us to purchase them. And what I realized is I should have done that the first 10 years, but I'm at a point now where we are excited about the future because we can help people exit a company that they opened 20 to 25 years ago, but we're buying businesses that are in the Flintstone era, right? Non-tech, low tech. They don't use AI. They don't use tech. We love tech and we also love AI. And when we can take a business that doesn't have those things and put it in, we can make it more efficient. But we can also help people exit. Now, the beautiful part is we're really good at 2 offers. One offer cash The other offer is owner financing. That the highest interest I've ever paid is 1.5%, where the owner carries. So what we do is we can take the pool of capital that we have and give two offers. And what we find is the owners that we are purchasing from it's about 50-50, right? 50 take the offer for cash. That's not a great offer, but we close quickly, or the owner finance and they get the full asking price. And what we figure out is we can control more properties faster, that cash flow from day one.
Yeah.
And we also discovered an end financing option that gives 35-year perm financing at 85% LTV. So we have our model in place that we are purchasing up front, take out financing, pays back the upfront, that we do it over and over. So we are poised to grow and expand. By the time that this publishes, I mean, we'll probably have 30, 40 houses, right? So we are growing. We currently have 21 homes under contract today.
Yeah.
And that's going to 2x our whole portfolio in 45 days.
Yeah. Now, are you able to share like what your portfolio cash values at this point in terms of cash flow coming in per month, and then what the overall portfolio value would be, just to give people some context?
So right now, today, we have 9 homes, 141 total beds. All right. We generate $423,000 per month. And
that's net revenue?
Yeah, that is total income, right? We operate at about a 20 to a 25% profit margin today, right? That's with those homes. When we acquire 21 more homes, our profit goes from 20, 25% to 35%. So we're gaining efficiencies as we are able to go up in home count, because our overhead is put over 30 homes compared to like 9 homes, right? So we're getting more efficient as we go, right? The current value of our current homes, we were able to raise $23 million. Value is $38 million. So we've got a good chunk of like equity, but we need more homes to take out the HUD, right? So we had realized that there's more of a like rolling up that needs to happen, because so like HUD likes to do check sizes for 200 total beds up to 400 beds, not like 100 beds. They want that bigger target because they enjoy doing bigger checks. Our country also needs us to go faster. So we're building a portfolio that when we have 30 homes, it will be valued at $94 million, which is exciting, because we're getting to a point where takeoff financing will love us and they'll be just throwing money at us. So our investors that are on board with what we're doing going forward will be part of that, and they will benefit from us just doing it over and over and over. I mean, it's cool to do what we're doing.
No, it's amazing, right? I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that tune into this episode and are going to rip off your idea and they're going to infuse it into different communities, but it's all good, I think.
Here, and that is fine, right? Because if you look at the count of elders that are going to need help, so I hope everyone's able to do it, right?
Yeah.
I want to hop on here and answer every question you have to add as much value as we can, because even if all of us do it, it's still not going to be so. We can't keep up.
Yeah.
So we are not afraid of anyone doing what we're doing, because if they choose to, that's great.
Yeah.
So I hope that they do.
Yeah.
Or investors that don't have time to go do it, call me, because we would love to have you be part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You are actively part of it, because without those funds, I can't keep expanding, right?
Yeah.
And as we have plenty of capital, we can keep growing, and literally change the whole future by doing that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. Now, obviously, the name of this podcast is Inspired to Invest. So I always like to ask guests if they have a particular quote that motivates or inspires them.
Is there a particular quote?
Mm-hmm.
I love a hockey quote, which you'll probably appreciate, by Wayne. And he is able to say, you will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yeah.
So I love that quote, because like it drives you to take action, right? If you talk on something or think of something and don't do it, you are guaranteed you are never going to hit the goal ever, because up here is keeping you from doing that. So taking those shots, even if you fail, will teach you so you can do things different afterwards. And don't be afraid to take those shots.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for anyone that wants to get in touch to learn more about these opportunities, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Probably just have them call me. It's 815-512-3.
990. I think it's in your name there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll make sure we include that in the show notes below, along with any other relevant details pertaining to your business. Of course, thank you for being with us today. For anyone that is watching or listening, make sure that you've liked, comment, and subscribe below, and that you're following along on social at Inspire to Invest podcast. And remember, if above all else, when you invest in yourself, the sky's the limit. Thanks again. Thank you to the Geo Focus Group for bringing you this episode of Inspired to Invest. The views represented on this podcast are for general information only and does not constitute investment or other professional advice or an offering of securities. The host and guests featured on Inspired to Invest make no representations as to the performance of any particular investment. Should you decide to make an investment, you are responsible for conducting your own review and analysis. It is recommended that you obtain independent legal, accounting, and tax advice from licensed professionals.